So Mert Genkirk, who I told you about in the mail introducing him, will give us a presentation today on his use of EDXL and the profile and a use case that they've done. So welcome, Mert. We're very glad to have you, and we'll let you get started.
Okay, thank you so much. First of all, I would like to thank you and all the community for giving me the opportunity to have this presentation with you. My name is Mert Gençtürk. I am working in SRDC in Turkey. Today, I would like to present you the C2Sense project supported by European Commission and how we use the OASIS standards in this project. This will be the outline. First, I will introduce myself and my company, and then the project. And I will explain what we did in the project and the pilot application that we held in Italy. And then I will conclude my presentation. I tried to keep my presentation short because of the time limitation, but I think with some question and answering, it would be better. I am a senior software engineer in the company. I graduated from Middle East Technical University, Computer Engineering Department. I got my PhD degree in 2012 and master's degree in 2015. I've been working in the company for 7 years. Mainly, I am working in e-health and m-health domains, especially semantic level, semantic interoperability in this domain. For several years, I am involved in projects for security and emergency management, and our project C2Sense is also related to emergency management. Our company is Software Research and Development and Consultancy Corporation. It is founded by Professor Dr. Osman Doğaç. We were actually research and development center in the university, and in 2007 our professor retired and moved the company to Technopolis, and more than half of our staff have a PhD degree in computer science, and this is the link for the website. This is our expertise. As I said, we are mainly involved in e-health solutions, especially semantic web technologies. We are working on standardization activities in e-health domain. After that, we started to do the same for e-government domain, and for several years we started to do the same for emergency management and security domain. And we also started working on big data and data analytics activities, as well as mobile design and development. We are mainly working in the project supported by European Commission, 6th Framework Program, 7th Framework Program, and Horizon 2020. And also we have some projects supported by ITA3. We have a good international links in the company, and most of our projects are supported by these organizations. Before going through the projects, I would like to talk about our standardization activities a little bit. We are the author of IHE DEX profile. It is a profile for the e-health domain, and my colleague Gökçe Banu is the chair of this domain, and we successfully developed this profile, and this profile has been used in several systems for years, and it is now a candidate to be ISO standard. We started to work on this already. We are also involved in the European Committee for Standardization. In this committee, we developed several profiles for e-business domain. It is called BII profiles. These profiles are based on UBL 2.1 and UNCAPACT. And my boss, Professor Dr. Osman Doğaç, led the OASIS Semantic Support for Electronic Business Document Interoperability Technical Committee. It is for specifications and tools for semantic interoperability of electronic business documents. The work in this domain completed successfully. After having worked in these domains, we thought that okay, we know how to use the standards, we know how to create the profiles, we know the problems, and we said that why not to implement the similar in emergency management domain, because the usage of standards are also important in this domain as well. So we wrote a proposal and it is accepted by the European Commission. The project called C2Sense. It is an interoperability profile span for command control systems and sensor systems in emergency management. It's FP7 project. It has started in 2014 and it will end in September this year. It is coordinated by Safran Electronic and Defense in France, and we and other 6 partners are also involved in the project. There are 4 countries, Turkey, Austria, Italy, Poland, and France. The aim of C2Sense project is to develop a profile-based emergency interoperability framework by the use of existing standards and semantically enriched web services to expose the functionality of C2 systems, sensor systems, and other emergency management systems. So in this project, we as the company mainly developed in emergency interoperability profiles and corresponding software tools. This is the architecture of the solution that we developed in the project. As you can see, we have a layered architecture: physical interoperability layer, protocol interoperability layer, data model interoperability layer, semantic layer, knowledge layer, and aligned layer. The idea is there are several different organizations in emergency management, and all these systems using different technologies, and interoperability of them is really problematic, because some uses GSM, some uses GPRS, some uses other natives like Tetra. After that, they are using different data models. Most of them use their proprietary formats, etc. So in this project, we aim to implement a framework which enable these different systems to communicate with each other, hence they can interoperate. So that's why we decided to implement several profiles for these organizations. That's why we took this interoperability stake and implemented our profiles on top of this. And we started from the bottom. The first one is physical interoperability layer. As its name suggests, it is the physical connections between applications and devices. In this layer, there are wired and wireless communication mediums such as GSM, Wi-Fi, GPRS, etc. The second one is a protocol interoperability layer. It is for the end-to-end delivery of the messages. In this layer, we have the transport level protocols such as SOAP, REST, SMTP, etc. The third layer is the data interoperability layer. This is the point actually that we use the OASIS standards. In this layer, we identified the existing standards for asset and resource management, notification management, situation awareness management, etc. And most of them are defined by the OASIS, such as EDXL RM, EDXL HEV, CAP, Common Alerting Protocol, STREP, etc. In the information interoperability layer, we know that not all parties conform to the same set of standards. Although they use the standards, the standards may not be the same. Therefore, in this domain, in this layer, we developed some common ontology so that we map the standards to each other so that they can be convertible to each other. And in the knowledge layer, based on the information in the bottom 4 layers, we developed the interoperability profiles. And these profiles defines the choreographies, business rule, and constraints between the organizations. So we have defined 14 interoperability profiles. Here you see the list of it: situation reporting, mission plan, scheduling, resource management, alert, hospital communication, tracking of citizens, sensor management and measurement, user authentication, authorization, audit trail, emerging situation map, situation analysis, and permission. Not all these profiles uses the OASIS standards. Some of them uses OGC sensor standards. Some of them uses some proprietary, let's say, standards. In my presentation, I will not go into the details of all of them. I will just go into the details of the ones that uses the EDXL standards. The first one is situation reporting. We defined these profiles by first examining the standards that is defined by the community. Therefore, we examined the EDXL STRIP standard, and we talked with the end users. We understood their needs in the domain, and we decided to implement. We decided to define a profile having these 3 different messages. So there are 2 actors. One is producer and one is receiver. And the messages are send situation information report, send field observation report, and send management report. These messages are used for transmitting timely available situation reports. The idea is to have the picture of operation and to evolve the situational awareness. The second one is a resource management profile. For this profile, we examined the EDXL resource management data model. And for querying and finding about available resources, requesting and allocating them, and for releasing them, we have defined 5 messages exchanged between 2 organizations. One is consumer and one is supplier. The idea is to not just say, okay, for managing resources, you will just use these standards. The idea is to also create a business rule. For example, I want to ask the availability of a resource and then allocate some and then release some. So first I need to send the request resource message as a consumer, and then supplier needs to respond back to me by answering my request. And it says, for example, okay, I have the amount that you require, and then I say that okay, now I need, for example, I need 5 ambulances, let's say. And supplier says, okay, I am sending the 5 ambulances to you. And then after I am done with them, I release them. So this is the idea that we have in the profiles. At this point, I would like to say our profiles are not as detailed as in the other domains, because it is the first attempt in this domain. We just wanted to have them simple so that we can use it in the project and we can demonstrate them. The next one is the alert. It is a very simple profile, because in here we just send an alert. So in this profile we are using OASIS CAP standard. And the last one is hospital communication. It is for querying resources for the hospitals. For this profile, we have used the EDXL have standard. And similar to the resource management profile, we have several messages in there, and also we have some small choreography. While defining these profiles, our first motivation was, okay, we will examine the standards and we will change them somehow according to needs. And we hope that, for example, we can find some missing points, so that in this presentation I can say you that, okay, this is the standards, but we also need this information to send, but standard does not have this. But unfortunately we couldn't find any in the project, so we just made some little modifications in the XSD files. For example, in the CAP message for sending the alert, the source info and description information has the attribute min occurs as 0. But in our pilot application, after we talked with our end users, after we understood their needs, we saw that these 3 points are important, so that these fields should not be optional; they should be required. Therefore, we updated XSD and removed the min occurs field. Similarly, in the strap message, the report title was important for us. This also has the min occurs attribute as 0. We changed it to 1. And also in the management reporting summary field, the user has 3 options. It can be situation summary, it can be decision support information, it can be justification information. But in the pilot application in Italy, we just needed one of them, the situation summary. Therefore, we removed the other 2 and made the situation summary field required by changing the min occurs field 0 to 1. And after doing this, we had our profiles ready. The next step is to use them in the pilot application. In the pilot application, mainly focuses on the flood event in the Puglia region of Italy, and it has been held in Bari region. But in here, I would like to talk about a small part of it. It is about the fire, because in this scenario we are using 2 different EDXL standards. It is a simple scenario, and in the screen you can see the scenario. First, the municipality, it is called COC in Italy, discovers a fire caused by an accident on a big fuel station. And then they require a service from a fire department and informs the regional control room, and it is called SOIR. After fire department accomplishes the request, the SOIR is informed, and then fire department handles the fire. And while it is doing this, it sends information reports to municipality and regional control room. And in here, you see the workflow happening between these organizations. So, municipality COC first sends an alert to other organizations, and then fire department sends the management reports to the other organizations. In here, the first 3 messages are alert profile, therefore EDXL CAP standard is used, and the other 4 are situation reporting profile, therefore EDXL strip message is used. Now the question is how these systems comply to the profiles, so the OASIS standards, because all the systems have their own proprietary format, and for example, some of them are just using phone or fax or very simple systems. One option would be to change all of them so that they can all send and read EDXL messages. But this would require a lot of work, and it will just be a solution for the systems in Puglia. For example, after we change the systems in Puglia, when a new system is introduced to the Puglia region, we have to do the same for the new system as well. Therefore, instead of doing this, we decided to implement some software in the project so that these different systems can communicate to the EDXL standards. In our scenario, if I go one backward, in order to be able to send these messages, for example, municipality should be able to produce a CAP message, and fire department and regional control room should be able to read the CAP message. Furthermore, fire department should be able to produce a situation reporting message, and COC and SOIR should be able to read it. But in reality, as you can see in here, municipality can only send and read email. So it cannot produce a CAP message, it cannot read a situation reporting message. Fire department complies to the standards already, so it can send and read the CAP message. Regional control room has its own proprietary system, therefore it can only send and read messages in its own system having its proprietary format. At this point, C2Sense framework comes into the play, and this is how we handle this situation. On the left side, for example, you see the municipality, and for example, this should send a message to a fire department, but municipality can only send a message through email, and fire department can only read a message to look up. At this point, we develop some protocol adapters and data integrators, converting the messages to other formats. For example, when municipality send the message to email, protocol adapters convert the SMTP message to a SOAP message. After that, the message arrives to the data integrator, and it converts to the proprietary text format to standard format, and puts into the enterprise service bus. It is part of our framework. And then the enterprise service bus forwards the message to fire department. For example, and then let's say fire department will send the message to regional control room. It sends the message in CAP format. Okay, it's already standard. It comes to the ESB, and ESB forwards it to the SOIR. At this point, data integrator converts the CAP message to proprietary format, and protocol adapter converts the SOAP message to a proprietary protocol, let's say, and it arrives to the SOIR. As you can see, after data integrator and protocol adapter converts the message, it is always in standard format. Therefore, in ESB, all the messages are represented in standard format. Therefore, in here, I can say that we also handle the standard to standard conversion. For example, one sending a CAP message can be converted to a situation reporting message. And this is an example alert message. This message is represented in CAP format. This is produced by the real systems in Italy. This is just for an alert. And the same message in this slide, the same message is represented in CTREC format. And both messages conform to the XSD that we updated according to our needs in the project that I showed in the previous slides. Our pilot application were successful. Emergency systems in Puglia region were able to send and read EDXL messages, and they can all communicate through several mediums with several technologies instead of phone or fax. And at this point, I can say that C2Sense can enable any system to conform EDXL standard with some easy configuration. As you can see in this slide, we didn't make any changes on these systems. We just made some configuration on the framework, and these systems were able to communicate through standard data models. The pilot was held in 4th of May, and it was successful. Our project is now in evaluation phase. We are collecting some feedback from end users to evaluate our system, whether it was successful according to them, what can be improved, what are the shortcomings, etc. And our profiles, in order to see that our profiles are generic or not, we also use these profiles in another project which is called apps. The apps project is Advanced Plug and Play Smart Surveillance. It is supported by ITA3. And this project aims to provide integrated and demonstrated maritime surveillance in particular cases based on detecting illegal activities at sea and project protection of critical infrastructure at sea and in harbors. In this project, the profiles are mainly sensor related, hence it was mostly OGC standards. But we successfully used alert profile in this project as well, which is using OASIS CAP standard. And it is demonstrated successful in Rotterdam, Netherlands. This is the end of my presentation. Thank you all for your listening. If there are any questions, I will be happy to answer them.
Yes, Mert, thank you so much. You've covered a lot of territory, and I'm sure everyone has a question or two in mind. I have several myself, but I'll turn it over to the floor and see who would like to start. And Norm, I did send you the slides, and I hope you were able to get those and capture some. I know you'll have some questions after you have a look too. I guess one question I would have right off the bat is whether you use the distribution element. I didn't see mention of that. So our envelope routing standard, did you use the distribution element at all?
Yes, we use the distribution element. I didn't put it because I just focused on the standard part, but we use the distribution element. Actually, if I open the structure, okay. In project, we also have a work package called conformance and interoperability testing. In this testing, we give the SOAP message into a tool, and this tool tests whether the message conforms to the standard or not. And if I don't put the message in the distribution element, it fails because EDXL defines the standards contained in a distribution element. Therefore, we have to use a distribution element to represent the data. And therefore, we are using it in the project.
Okay, thanks for that. Would that have been the distribution element 1.0, or did you use the 2.0? Do you recall?
I guess it is 1.0.
Yes, okay. And I'm sure there'll be several questions about that. Maybe we want to talk about any questions regarding the distribution element first. Rex Brooks, who's on the call, is working right now to prepare for our presentations to give in Rome, which I know you're considering coming, and we hope you can. But we are looking at the DE 1.0 versus 2.0 to see what changes we might like to go with. The 2.0 is actually in committee specification status right now, so it is not a full standard. So let me just stop with that and see first if anyone has any questions of Mert regarding his use of the distribution element.
Yeah, Alicia, this is Rex. And thank you, Mert. I was really impressed with your ability to pull out a successful profile. So my question about the DE is whether or not you profiled the DE2, or did you use the full spec?
I'm sorry, there was a cut. Can you repeat the question?
Did you profile the DE, the distribution element, or did you use the full spec, full specification?
We haven't used the full specification. We just used some part of it according to our needs. Because, for example, for the flood situation, we don't need all the fields to be used. For example, therefore, we used just the parts that we need. And regarding the distribution element, for example, I can open one for you. Just a second, please.
And I think Rex, he did say he was using 1.0 of the DE.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. As you can see in here, we are using 1.0 for the distribution element.
I can see from looking at it that you're using the full spec, so that's good. I just wanted to know that. I want to really commend you for, you know, pulling the entire thing together into a coherent system.
Actually, our project has started in 2014, and we defined these profiles, let's say, 2 years ago. Actually, we just focused on 1.0 for the distribution element, and it was enough for us in the project. But we will definitely also examine the 2.0 after this teleconference.
Right, and we'll be certainly interested in your input on that as we consider other changes that we might want to do for the 2.0. That is certainly the work that Rex has ongoing as he's building a framework, a reference framework and toolkit for use of EDXL. He has that project underway now within the TC that we'll present in Rome, and so your insight and experience will be extremely helpful for us in doing that.
Yeah, okay, I will talk this with the consortium in the project. Okay, thank you.
Great. Any other questions on the DE before we ask other questions I'm sure you all have? Okay, let's save the questions about CAP so Norm has a little bit more time to go through the slides and have a look there. I'm sure he'll be questioning that. I would like to ask next if I see that the hospital availability have, which I'm sure you use the 1.0 which is published, but I wanted to let you know that we are working on a 2.0 as we found during the Haiti earthquake response that there were a number of things that were missing. Facilities, availability, and other things to support the hospital services themselves that were identified. And so we are working on a 2.0 at this time, and we're in hopefully the last month or two of finalizing that document for public review. So that's just to let you know there's work underway there that would certainly benefit by your review. So any questions about HAVE, or Mert, go ahead and respond, and then if there's any other questions about HAVE, we'll discuss that one next.
I can say a few things about the HAVE. As SRDC, my company, is mainly a health company. Actually, the HAVE profile is one of the profiles that that was important for us. But unfortunately, due to some ethical issues in Italy, we weren't able to use this profile in the pilot application as we imagined. So we just used a small part of it for just asking available number of beds or etc. So unfortunately, in the project, we couldn't examine the HAVE profile as we need.
Okay, and just to let you know, I know that you weren't able to do that in the Italy pilot, but to make you aware, we are working with HL7. Are you familiar with HL7 in Turkey? I'm sure there's a work going on there.
We are the one who implemented the Turkish national health infrastructure with HL7 version 3.
Wonderful. So with hospital availability, the project we have underway now, we have a statement of understanding between HL7 and OASIS, and we will, once we get through with this HAVE 2.0, we will be coordinating with the patient administration work group in HL7 to do a joint release. So that's just something I'm sure your company would be interested in, and perhaps participate with us in that. In the face-to-face meeting in the plan area, the working group plan area in September of this year, we will be doing a face-to-face meeting with the patient administration work group. So let's hold on that, and anyone else have comments about HAVE before we bring up the other one I'm sure his company has an interest in?
I do. Yeah, well, my question is, this is Rex again, and my question is, do you have any other projects coming along that might be suitable for developing the same kind of a profile and interoperability framework that you have for CAP and SITREP to use HAVE, which works well with TEP, tracking emergency patients, and that's also a standard that has been used in a mutual transformation document with HL7 so that you can transform a tracking emergency patients message, a TEP message, to HL7 standard admit discharge transfer message. I think that with with that ability, you can track patients, and then you can also work across systems that have different proprietary systems. I think that HAV and TEP together would work really well for you guys if you could manage to get another project like this one, building on the success you've had. Would that be a consideration for you?
Yes, definitely. As the consortium, we already started some work for another project for submit a proposal about, let's say, C2Sense2, because as I focused in my presentation, in this project, we only focused on, not only, but we mainly focused on CAP, STREP, and resource management. And our results were really good according to our opinions. So in the second one, as you suggested, we aim to focus on the other one as well, and also we aim to extend what we have right now, because our profiles are too generic right now, because if there are just two actors, one send the message to another and the other one responds back. But our aim is to extend these profiles, because in actual situation the choreography is more complicated than this. Actor A sends a message to B, B asks a question to C, C sends an information message to D, and D sends a message to B, etc. So we aim to continue this project as let's say C2Sense2, and while we are doing this, we will definitely take these issues into consideration. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for that. The tracking of emergency patient standard is the one that we did do a complete bidirectional transformation specification with the HL7 messages. So that's one that I think will gain a lot of steam. We worked for that one with the HL7 Public Health Emergency Response Work Group, who was very supportive of that. So that was announced just last September, and I know that was probably after this work was underway, and you had a different focus at that time. So we look forward to working with you on TEP. Is there any other questions about the two health standards, HAV and TEP, before we ask them about CAP?
Yes, this is Tim. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you, Tim.
Okay, great. As we're diving into each standard, I need to take a quick step back, big picture, and I may have misunderstood, so that's the nature of my question. When we discussed throughout your project's profiles of the various standards, I thought I heard examples such as if there were certain elements that you didn't need, you may have removed them and then made the elements that you do need mandatory. And I may have missed, that may be incorrect, you'll correct me. Then I thought you said that, right. I was thinking in terms of implementation of the entire standard and simply making optional elements that you don't use. Can you explain a little bit about what a profile is in the way you're applying it here?
Okay. In the profile, for example, if I open one, let's have a look at. Can you see my screen, Tim?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. For example, here you see the profile at the high level. For example, in here we have request resource message, and in our system we have the definition of this message, and it says that okay, this is the XSD file that the message for request resource should be represented in this format, and this message should be sent through SOAP, for example, and for this we have a WSDL file, and this is valid for all the messages. For example, for one message, I can also say, okay, this message will be sent through REST instead of SOAP. So the profile contains the technical specifications for sending the message as well as the order of messages. For the technical part, we have the XSD, and while defining the XSD, we made some small modifications on the current, on the existing version of the standard. For example, if I come back to EDXL CAP, for example, we make these 3 optional fields required for the flood event in the Italy, because for example, EDXL CAP is currently used by the fire department in Italy, and the fire department said us to that the source info and description fields are important for us, and we always need these information. Therefore, in our profile definition, we made these 3 fields required, not optional. This is the modification that we did on the standard.
Okay, that helps. I understand. So, in general, that's a great example. You would go from things that were defined as optional to mandatory because you have to have them, but you never did the reverse.
No, actually, this was our aim because changing optional to mandatory would not give the field, give the domain, would not improve the standard. But
would not be compliant with the standard.
Yeah, at the beginning we thought that we can find some information that is not present in the standard. For example, as Elisa gave the Haiti earthquake example, we thought that we can find some fields and so that we can improve the standard. But unfortunately, this was not the case in our project. We weren't successful at this point.
All right, Bert. Yeah, I appreciate that. That helps. My name is Tim Briggs, by the way. I don't know if I introduced myself.
Yeah, I saw in the go-to-meeting attend list.
Yeah, thank you, Mert, for that clarification on profiles, because we want to make sure that what's being used is and how the profile is derived still allows it to conform as we expect it to. So, Norm, I don't know if you caught those particular things, but it was resource info and description are the things that he required, or is that response, isn't it? What is the first of the 3 CAP elements that you changed to mandatory? Sources, info, and description, I believe. So.
Yeah, those are the ones that show on the screen.
Right. So does anyone else have any questions about how CAP was implemented in his project? Okay, Norma, are you on the call? I just want to make sure you're capturing this. I know you can't see the screen.
Yes, hi. I was on mute. Sorry. Hi, it's Norm. Yes, I got the presentation about 2/3 of the way through, and I had a little difficulty trying to orientate as to what slide you're on, so I had a difficult time. But I did focus on the same thing that Tim focused on with the optional elements becoming mandatory, which is all perfectly fine for profiling, and doesn't change the standard in any way. You're just fine-tuning the standard with your profile, which is exactly what the profiling is for. It's when you go the other way, where you make a required element optional, that you start to change the standard, which is not really encouraged at all for profiling. But anyways, everything looks good. So I don't see your screen, so all I have in front of me is the presentation. And the only thing I found is slide 30 that actually has an example of CAP. Is that the only example that I have access to at this point?
I can ask my Italian colleagues to produce another, but this is currently the only alert message that I have.
Oh, okay. All right. So yes, with regards to Tim's comment, that's exactly the same thing that I picked up on in your presentation. I noticed that you really have, or in this CAP example, you've really used some of the elements for your specific solution, which is totally fine, and that is part of making it work for you, which is exactly what we were hoping for. So it's all good from the little bit that I can see here. Making those other things that you said, like resource and description, as required, that's more than fine. So I'm really struggling to keep up here because I don't have your screen in front of me, but I'm just looking. Question on the event element. Do you have a specific definition of what you define as an event?
Yes, actually, because, for example, in here you see alert to population as the name of the event. For example, because since our Italian partners, actually the end users uses the Italian language, and we also do some convergence between the languages. For example, Italian to English, English to Italian, etc. Therefore, for example, in here they wrote alert to population. For example, in another message, it is written as alert to fire department, alert to regional room, etc. This is just a small trick that they did in the project because that was our decision. So they said that it will be enough for us to just write it like this, and then while converting the messages, they just took this part and, for example, handles the rest.
Okay, because just to comment, event is a very touchy element in CAP. A lot of the discussion around event has been, for example, if I read the description, it tells me about a lot of rain has fallen, and I assume this is a sort of an alert, a test alert or a sample alert for.
Yeah, it is a test alert. Yeah.
Yeah. So if for example, if this was a real alert, what would you use in the event element?
In the real case, the event part is similar to this. As I said, they just write it according to the recipient because in the project we are not broadcasting messages. We are exchanging messages between one organization and the another. Therefore, at this point, we just specify who to send the alerts. Of course, the real endpoint is specified in the SOAP element, but in here we also have this very simple structure: alert to sender.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and this is a very interesting take on what an event is in your use of the standards combined, and it's perfectly valid as far as I'm concerned. It's just, Elisa, this is just now looking at how you can use CAP in a sort of peer-to-peer relationship between groups that are all collectively doing stuff that's private-based instead of public-based, and how the terms like event are interpreted in such an environment. And these are things that we will experience constantly through various different solutions and using CAP, all of which I think are perfectly valid, but you have to be aware that these types of things are going to happen. So it's quite interesting.
Yeah, I agree with Norm. For example, I know in working with practitioners in the United States, some people define an event as a planned event, a parade, or a ball game, something that has to, you may want an alert set up for something that's pre-planned, and they'll use terms such as incident or disaster or emergency for things that are not planned, things that are unknown that happen.
And not necessarily hazard-based. They could just be an event like a birthday party. So.
Right. Correct.
Right. This is very interesting and good discussion. Mert, so you know, Norm Paulson is with Environment Canada. So Canada was one of the first to profile CAP and has quite a bit of experience with it. So these private alerts are interesting too, and it's good to see CAP being utilized in that way as well. But it does expand our thinking. And the CAP subcommittee, one of the things we have focused on since the last CAP workshop in Thailand, and it's been actually brought up in a couple of annual workshops since then, is a specific event list to be identified. The IFRC, International Federation of Red Cross Red Crescent Societies, has tasked us to come up with an event list. So we've been wrestling with that in the CAP subcommittee about how to do that, what format it should take, and what data it should include. So that you're broadening our perspectives a bit in how you are implementing CAP and the purposes. So this is very helpful and good information for us. And we look forward to your participation in those subcommittees as well, Mert. Any other questions on CAP before we perhaps ask a couple of questions on SITREP? I know there was some profiling there that may have followed the same form. Anything else on CAP?
I have a
okay,
question.
Maybe you could go ahead, Norm.
I was just looking at the geocode just as an example in this application in Italy. Since it's all I have in front of me, that's all I can refer to. You've got a geocode value with the word point and then a lat long in brackets. That again is a customized use of a free-form geocode element, which also expands our thinking on how geocode can be used, much in a similar way that event can be used in private communication. So just another example of it. It's quite interesting.
Yes, it's good to have these kinds of inputs that do broaden our thinking, that do give us more to consider than what we've looked at so far, and it's important for us to get this kind of feedback. So I really hope, Mert, that you can join us in Rome, or join the workshop in Rome in September, because I think your presentation would be a valuable perspective for people internationally to understand how you can put together an interoperability layer and semantically connect the proprietary types of information systems into a standards-based communication.
I will be happy to attend to the workshop if possible. Yeah.
Great. Okay. So I guess with SITREP, can you identify particularly what you needed to do to SITREP to make it work for you in your pilot?
You mean this part? Because on the strap it is I cannot say that it is a modification. For example, in iReport part, it is an extension. So I can use situation summary, decision support information, or justification information. In the project, we studied and decided that, okay, at this point, we just need situation summary. Because we are just sending information about the situation, nothing more. Therefore, we just made this situation summary part as required and remove the others because we are not using it.
Okay, that's understandable. And we will have someone else in the EDXL workshop, Nuwan Wardenatha, who's very interested in SITREP in particular. So this is the first time we will have an EDXL workshop following the CAP workshop. So certainly your input during the CAP workshop will be helpful too, and your understanding of that. And one of the reasons we've expanded to have the day of EDXL is because several of the other presenters at the CAP workshop were expanding to embrace EDXL as well. And certainly the Italian Fire Brigade, Fire Corps, has been very active. So they weren't able to join the call today, but they are OASIS members and involved in our work. So we're looking very forward to having you there. And I really commend this work and thank you for sharing it with us. Are there any other questions anyone else has?
Lisa, this is Jeff Waters.
Yes, go ahead, Jeff.
I've got a question. Mert, thank you very much. This is great. I am impressed and appreciative of the work that you're doing. It's kind of you to present it to us. Rex and I and some of the other folks are always interested in trying to make things easier for developers who want to use our standards. And so we're always interested in things like lessons learned that folks like you experienced in trying to reuse these standards. So that's an important aspect of things. In addition, you know, everyone who begins to use the standards has to maybe go through some of the same steps, you know, like, well, how do I parse these things? How do I store them in a data store? How do I convert them into, you know, other common formats? And so what we kind of always wish is that we had a library, let's say, for the different standards to offer to developers to say, well, here's, you know, software library that already supports storage into these different data stores, already supports validation, already supports reading and writing. Maybe it has a GUI for the standards, a basic, you know, maybe a JavaScript interface that puts something on a map, you know, or displays something. And the semantic layer that you've added is an important aspect as well. And so my question is about has any of your work or some aspect of it, is it something that could be, you know, sort of an open source kind of effort that could help other developers, you know, you know, do you have APIs that could kind of be reused in generic ways? And one of the things that's exciting about thinking about that is that in addition to the basics of kind of reading and writing and things, libraries might be developed that could also sort of empower users. So for example, if you use this library, well, you already get this reusable GUI interface. Or if you use this library, well, there's a reusable transmission protocol or media that's accessible for you. Or maybe there's analytics that can be applied to the standards. So in looking at your work, I see where you've had to, you know, address some of these things. And so as we go forward here and think about this kind of work, I'll be interested in your feedback on how some of this stuff could be maybe captured in libraries to make it easier for the next person who comes along.
Yeah, in the project we have open source parts and proprietary parts. For example, if I talk about ourselves, because we are mainly involved in the semantic part, we implemented the ontology on top of these EDXL standards. So we also have a metadata registry tool. It is a proprietary tool of ours, but it also has some. It also has open source version. Into this registry, we put the elements of EDXL, starting from the common types and until the elements in strep, cap, etc. And by using these metadata elements, on top of it, we implemented a semantic interoperability suite. And for example, by using this information, we can convert the cap message to strep automatically. Yeah, most of the time it does not make that much sense to convert cap to strep. But for example, let's say the area element can be converted between two standards, or let's say the description part can be converted between the standard, etc. So for this part, we use the ontological solution, and for example, this one is open source. After we finish the project, we can of course provide it as an library or API. That would be possible, and that would be good for us too as well.
That's exciting. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'd be interested in taking a look at that open source component whenever you've got it available.
Yeah. And also we have an emergency maps tool. This is not a tool of ours. This is a tool of our Austrian partners. It is called AIT. For example, their tool is also interesting because when you send a CAP message to this tool, it puts the information to a map directly and shows the alert area with the additional information on map. Or it is also the same for situation reporting as well, I guess. For example, I can also talk with them whether they are providing their tool open source or with an API, etc. If yes, we can also provide the details of them to you.
That's kind of you. I appreciate that. Yeah, and you can share with your colleagues that you know, one who's interested in, you know, sort of seeing their tools, you know, be reused in this kind of more generic way inside of the reference information model subcommittee and other committees. We're looking at how to make these standards more reusable, and it'd be great to for anybody who's interested in participating to have jumpstart some of these efforts with some of the good work that's already been done. And I think maybe that in addition helps people align with you know, it sort of glides their gives them an entryway into the systems that you're building. If we make things, make these reusable components that makes it easy for them to do their work, then it also makes it easy to conform to the systems that you've built. So I think there's some advantages there. If people are interested in participating, we'd be happy to talk about it.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, thanks for those comments, Jeff. And Mert, again, your presentation was great. We're glad to see it and also to have your participation in the OASIS Standards body, and look forward to follow-on discussions with you and a view of your presentation that we hope to have in Rome. So just let me know what other details you may need for that. And let me just ask if there are any other comments or questions for the group here.
My question is whether or not the ontology that you guys have developed is something that you're willing to share in an open source format.
Yes, we have a tool named Semantic MDR. We put the ontology inside this tool, and there are two versions of this tool. One is open source and one is commercial. Since we have the open source part of it, we can provide the ontological part as an open source to the public.
Well, following up on what Jeff said, I think it would help us to develop similar tools if we could use your ontology as a model. So maybe you can stay in touch with Elisa and find a way to make that available to us to download and look at.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Anything else? All right, well, Mert, I guess that's it for you. I guess you get to go home and celebrate the holiday the rest of the country is is enjoying today.
I already celebrated, so.
And we are willing to move our meetings around to accommodate folks in different parts of the world. I know our friend David Weber, who's now in China, would like to participate a little more, and we've done that with a colleague who is in Australia, so that we can shift around as need be for certain subcommittee participation, and also for the TC meeting on occasion. So we're glad to work with you to accommodate a little more convenience in your schedule as well. All right, with that, and this is not a quorum meeting call, so we'll just adjourn now, and look forward, Jane, to you providing the recording for us for those that weren't able to join this time. And just collectively thank you, Mert, for your time, and look forward to working with you and hopefully meeting you face-to-face this September.
I thank you all for giving me the opportunity and listening to my presentation. It was very good for me. And I also hope to meet you all face-to-face in the workshop.
Very good. Have a great rest of your day, and goodbye, everyone.